Hey guys, what is up? Back with another video. In this one we're going to create a nice usable patch that you can use for your productions. Not necessarily synthwave, just a cool sound. Alright, so I'm going to be doing this in Serum. If you guys are rocking another synth, feel free to follow along. Most of the controls are pretty much basic to most synths, so let's get started. This is the default sound here. Alright, nothing too spectacular. I'm gonna head over to some of the wavetables here and select basic, I guess, word or ward, whatever. So this is what it sounds like, pretty much a sine wave, nothing too special. I'm going to lower the octave here, seeing that it's a bass signal. Let me bump this up. It's really hard to hear these sine waves. And then I'm going to increase the unison. Give it a nice stereo sound. Now this sounds a little too detuned, so let's go ahead and reduce the amount of detuning we have here. All right, not too much, something conservative, so I'm at 0.03. See if we can do something with the blend. You won't really hear a difference here. This really takes shape once you have, you know, let's say 3. Voices, all right, but I'm still going to keep it at 2. And let's see, let's play around with the wave positioning here. This is where you get a lot of the character of your sound. And what I like to do is scan through the actual knob here until I get something that sounds decent. And then I'm going to attach an envelope to it, all right? Sounds a little better than this. That's why I'm pushing this up. Yeah, somewhere around here. Now let's set over to the warping parameter. Here we can sort of warp the sound of that wavetable here. And I'm going to use, let's say, flip. And now, same thing, I scan. Look for something decent. And this is where I'm going to attach a few parameters in a few moments, all right? Sounds pretty good. So let's route this to our filter. Before I forget here, let's just activate the mono feature here for the voicings, meaning we can only play one note at a time. Seeing that this is a bass preset, I'm going to lower the filter. Let's affect the envelope here. The envelope will control the amp. All right, I want a bit of a tail for this. We'll make some adjustments a little later. All right, so let's come back to our wavetable position here. Let's use envelope 2 just to make some variations. All right, so nothing is being heard right now because the envelope, well, we don't have any sort of movement to it. So I'm going to lower the sustain here. And now we have that sort of, you know, movement happening. Now you won't hear much of a difference here only because we want to have those higher frequencies come in. And so I'm going to route envelope 1 to cutoff, filter cutoff here. All right, so this is a little too much. It's not really usable. We want it to be subtle, so I'm going to come in and lower the amount of the wavetable positioning here. Already sounding a whole lot better. Let's add a little bit of resonance here. Let me exaggerate this so we can hear what it's doing to the sound. We get that point, right? I don't want that much, so I'm just going to lower this. Now, one of the consequences of boosting the resonance, you can see here, is that this area sort of dips down, right? So we lose a lot of that beef. So what you want to do is sort of make up for it. And one way you can do that is to increase the drive. And you can see that this region starts adding a bit of gain. Same thing for the fat control here. So we're sort of restoring the integrity of our sound. whole lot thicker. All right, so let's go ahead and add a little bit of portamento. Portamento adds a little bit of glide. Again, let me exaggerate this. It's a little too much, but we'll come down, maybe in the 20s. Not really sounding bassy enough for me, so let's go ahead and add a sub to this. I'm gonna activate the sub and pitch this down. There we go. A little too much bass here. Let me lower the level and make sure we are routing this to our filter, because as is, it's not really being routed to our filter. Well, you won't hear too many higher frequencies in here, but let's say I were to use a square wave. Now you'd hear a lot of that top end, and we don't want that. So we're gonna route it to our filter, just like this. Now let me disable oscillator A, have a listen. Don't think I want this, all right? I think I want something a little darker. I'll just use the sub here and it will help support oscillator A. Let's do some A-Bing. And width. All right, so let's keep going. One of the things I had mentioned earlier on was the ability to kind of affect the sound. Like, I like this stuff here. It's a really cool feature, but instead of sitting here and turning this knob, I'm gonna assign LFO 1 to this control. And while holding the Shift Option key, I'm gonna click on this little horseshoe here, and it's gonna turn it into a bidirectional signal. So this sounds unusable. So let's come in here and take this out of BPMs and lower the rate. There we go. Super subtle. I'm gonna keep this at, let's say, 0.07, 06. You can do this to taste. Now, you heard that. When it gets to this extreme position here, the sound kind of fades out. So I'm just gonna adjust this control. Might not even let the LFO go this deep. Yeah, there we go. Let's keep it something like this. We can always come back and make our adjustments. All right, let's keep going here. One of the things I like to do is to introduce a little bit of noise to the signal. And we're gonna use this just to sort of set a, I guess you can say, a point to the signal. So this is my noise generator here. Nothing too fancy. Let's use envelope number 3. Let's attach it to the amp of the noise generator. And again, to taste, we're gonna lower that sustain. Okay, we can zoom in here and now we can adjust the decay. So I want this sound right at the very onset of the note I'm gonna play. All right, let's activate our sub and the oscillator A and route the noise generator to the filter. Let me boost this up so you can hear what it's contributing to the sound. That's a bit much, so let's come down. And again, to taste. This is all to taste, so if you guys want this to be super loud in your signal, go ahead and crank it up. Before I forget here, one thing I like to do is to have the pitch bend go an entire octave, something I really like for basses. You never know, in your production you might want to have a nice bass slide. So I've set it to an octave higher and an octave lower. This gives me the ability to pitch shift in either direction. All right, so before moving on to the effects, let's see what else we can do. We can probably lower this. There we go, nice funky bass sound. Let's move on to our effects here. I'm going to keep this really simple. I just want a few effects. I already like how the preset sounds. Let's introduce an EQ here, set this to the bell, and let's do some boosting here. I want it to sound a little heavier. I'm going to adjust my Q. Same thing for the top. I want to introduce some higher frequencies here. Let's scan, widen the Q a bit. Cool, let's do some A-Bing here. Much better. All right, so let's get a little fancy here. Let's add a chorus to our signal. We can always widen the bass signal. And I like to do this with a chorus. But I don't like to use it like this. I think this sounds a little too unfocused, and I want the bass sound to sound rooted and grounded. So one thing I like to do is use an envelope to gradually move into this chorus sound. And so what I'm going to do is use envelope number 2, attach it to the mix knob here. Now you can see when I hit the note, the control here starts at full wet. I want to do the opposite. I want to make sure that when I hit the key, it starts dry, and then gradually it makes its way to this point here. So this ensures that every time I hit a note, I'm pretty much getting the dry signal. But if I hold on to it, then we introduce some chorusing. Now you can always change some of the parameters here to taste. I'll leave that up to you guys. It's super subtle. Let's keep it moving here. I think we're almost done. Let's introduce a little bit of compression here. And I'll just make up some of the gain here, increase the threshold. All right, so we're leveling off the sound, pretty straightforward, adding a little bit more sustain. All right, so this is a straightforward bass preset. If you wanted to get a little fancy and change things up, you can take this out of mono and play this at a higher register and add a little bit of reverb. So I'm going to use the plate here, and you can see that we have a totally different preset here. All right, so you're literally a few clicks away from an entirely different sounding patch, and I love presets like this. So I have a number of these presets that come in the presets that I've created. I have some Synthwave, some retro wave, some chill wave. If you guys really dig these kinds of sounds, I urge you to check out some of my preset packs. I'll be leaving some of these links in the description, and hopefully this tutorial will inspire you guys to create some sounds and write some cool music. All right, if you liked the video, guys, go ahead and give me a like, subscribe to the channel, save this video if you want to come back to it and check things out. With that being said, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.